Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Fantasy Brothers podcast. I'm Austin Thomas.
And I'm Connor Thomas.
And today we will be discussing several things, including the Chiefs game last night and our projections for the upcoming week of football. So, usually our podcast will be coming out Wednesdays, probably about 7 o'clock. But today we're releasing it on a Friday because we got a little behind and it's the first episode and we want to make sure everything's all good. So, let's go right into things with the news of the week. So, one of the big things that happened over this offseason was Patrick Mahomes getting a deal. Following that, we had Deshaun Watson get a $160 million 4-year deal. How do you think that plays into how he's going to be this season?
It's gonna fuel him more, maybe, I guess. Wants to prove that he's worth that money, and yeah.
See, I think he's already proved that he's worth that money, so I actually think that he might try and take it more comfortably, you know?
Yeah, that's
Maybe
true.
not play too much to his fullest ability, but I guess that's what the season is for.
Mm-hmm.
Next subject, we have the DeAndre Hopkins deal. He just signed an extension to become the highest, or second highest paid receiver? Highest paid
I
receiver.
think it's highest.
The highest paid receiver
Yeah.
in the NFL. Highest paid non-QB, I think.
Yep, well.
Or
Yeah,
did McCaffrey's deal?
No, that's definitely
No.
not McCaffrey.
All right, so yeah, DeAndre Hopkins with another huge extension.
27 mil.
Yeah, it's a lot of money for a non-QB. How do you think? Do you think it's going to affect him at all?
No.
Honestly,
really.
I don't think the Hopkins deal is going to affect his value, his fantasy, or just for the overall team.
Yeah.
But again, this is something that we'll have to play out and see.
Mm-hmm.
So next thing we heard a couple rumors a couple days ago about Clay Matthews possibly headed to the Broncos. Now recently we heard that this news and these rumors did fall through, and so it doesn't look like Clay Matthews is going to be going to the Broncos. But if that happened, I mean, that would have been crazy.
It's a good replacement for her since Von Miller's now unlikely to play.
Terrible injury to Von Miller.
Yeah.
Achilles. Oh, man, you hate to see it. It was last snap of the play, wasn't it?
It was like
last snap of
last
practice?
play,
Yeah. Man, that's just a huge blow to Broncos fans all around the nation. And so next, we also heard rumors about, over this offseason, apparently the Chicago Bears were one of the final destinations for Tom Brady to choose.
They were?
Yeah. I don't know, you must not have heard this, but
No.
this was actually came out, I think, about yesterday. Apparently, the Bears were one of Tom Brady's rumored teams, and how do you think that would have played out?
Would have made them a Super Bowl contender.
Definitely.
I feel like, yeah, their defense, got Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller's gonna go off this year, I feel like. He's gonna, prove himself. Well, yeah. So,
All right. I think, honestly, I like Mitchell Trubisky. Probably too much, but I do like him. But Tom Brady. Who wouldn't want Tom Brady? I think Bears fans hearing this probably might be getting hopeful for free agency in the coming years. You never know what might be headed their way, especially if that Dak Prescott deal doesn't get done with the Cowboys.
yeah, that's true.
They might be a contender for him.
Yeah,
I guess we'll just have to see, because Matt Nagy on the Chiefs was a great offensive coordinator. Helped the Chiefs go quite a ways. So, talking about the Chiefs, let's get on to the score of last night's game.
34-20.
Yeah, it was crazy. Now let's talk about the main guy of the night, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah.
He was
138 yards, something around that.
And a touchdown.
His receptions should get better in the season. He should get better at the goal line. He wasn't that good at the goal line. But other than that, he looked amazing out there.
Yeah, the receptions, he had 2 targets. 2 targets the entire game. I mean, we were thinking he might get about 5 receptions. He didn't have a single reception. That was what was crazy to me. It also shows that the Chiefs aren't really doing anything. They don't really care. Their offense is so good that they don't need to do these plays. Like you saw last season, they had a bunch of crazy good plays. And this season it's just not that. And I guess that's something that we'll have to see throughout the season. And now let's go on to the Texans. The Texans, they did not have a good game against the Chiefs last
They were
night.
dropping passes, proved that they needed Hopkins. Yeah.
Hopkins, I feel like that is going to bite them in the butts this year.
David Johnson did look pretty good, though.
He did. It was 77 yards rushing and 32 yards receiving on three receptions and the touchdown. So fantasy-wise, he showed himself pretty good. Team-wise also. I mean,
he was pretty good.
It's a good addition, but are you really willing to give up DeAndre Hopkins for that?
Yeah.
It's still something that's going to be talked about for probably years.
Yeah, probably.
Because he is looking to be a very good receiver for the followings.
Yep.
All right, so with the news over, let's go get into our injury situations. So, one of the things we heard about, obviously, and we talked about, was the Von Miller injury. That is awful for the defense of the Broncos. The Broncos were looking to be a pretty good defense throughout there, especially with them being in the... Well, never mind. I was going to say them being in the AFC West. That doesn't make it any better.
That's not.
But they were looking to be a stout defense, and that doesn't look like it's probably going to be the case before. I think also Bradley Chubb is questionable for the week.
Yep.
So this week one matchup, I mean...
Looks pretty bad for their defense.
Definitely does, and they'll be a bit roughed up. Hopefully, they'll get Von Miller back sometime in the season, and definitely Bradley Chubb will get back sometime. Another injury, Galladay. Kenny Galladay was supposedly had a quad injury, kept him limited. He didn't even practice at all, but he was supposed to be limited yesterday. But eventually, it turns out, I think he's going to be playing today. I think he's a go for week 1, so we can relax on all the, should I start Galladay? Oh no.
Yeah.
But then again, he is playing the Bears, so coming off that quad injury, I mean, maybe he's going to be taking it a bit slower, even if he does get a lot of snaps. I mean, going up against that Bears defense, you never know.
Well, last year he got last game they played the Bears, he got 158 yards and a touchdown, something like that.
I think that was one of the Bears' meltdowns on defense. Also, it was not a good showing. So on with that, let's get on to
Mike Evans.
Mike Evans.
Doubtful.
Mike Evans is on to doubtful, and it's a game time decision. They're saying, if you have Mike Evans, you are in a tough situation this first week. You'll be in a fine situation later. But then again, it's a hamstring injury, so you never know. He might be out this week. He might even be out next week, and it might affect him for a good 4 or 5 weeks. And it might be rough. But then again, if he does start off rough, then you might be able to get him for good trade value.
That's true.
So, I mean, if you're looking to make a trade, Mike Evans in the 3rd week after he comes back,
maybe
he might...
2nd week.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out. If he plays this week and doesn't do well, he might be a guy to look for on the trade market. Now, let's go to the next guy. This was a guy I actually picked up in my 16-team fantasy league, Devine Ozigbo. He went onto the IR with a hamstring injury. Now, this is a blow for the Jacksonville running backs, which has lost Fournette, lost Raquel Armstead, and now Ozigbo, and all they're left with is Chris Thompson, the passing down specialist, and James Robinson. Now, James Robinson, I think, is a very sneaky player for this week because, I mean, you look at it, Chris Thompson isn't really going to be getting any carries. He might get 1 or 2, but mainly if they're running the ball, it's going to be through James Robinson.
Yeah, that's true.
So you might have to watch out for that. Now, granted, it's the Jaguars, and they're going to lose basically every game this season. So you never know how good he's going to be long term. He might get his snap. He might not get too many snaps just because they're not going to be running the ball too much because Well, I mean, it's Jacksonville.
Plus, he's probably not even going to play like the second half of the season when they have Raquel Armstead back. So.
Mm-hmm. That's a very big point. So he might be a very good early season pick, and then you might try and pick up someone else later in the season, like a Mike Evans. I'm kidding. You're not going to be able to trade that straight up or find him on the free agency market, but
Yeah.
you might be able to find some good value on that trade market. Now let's get on to this next big one with the Broncos. Again, Cortland Sutton got a shoulder injury. Now, it doesn't look like it's going to keep him out of that first game, I think is what they've said. But that is still scary. A shoulder injury for a wide receiver. It shouldn't last too long, is what I'm guessing, but it might affect him in that first game. And they might throw to Judy a little more. They might use the running backs, Melvin Gordon, Philip Lindsay a little bit more. So I'm guessing that Judy is going to
Judy.
They're going to be a little bit better. I don't think Judy is going to be getting as many as some might think, but he's going to be getting a slight bit more. So if you're on the edge between someone like him and, I don't know, Leonard Fournette, I would start Judy. Definitely Judy. But then again, if you drafted Leonard Fournette, you are in a very terrible spot, like I was, because I saw him falling in the 16-team draft, and I picked him up.
Was he really falling, though?
He was, yeah. I picked him like 15 past ADP.
His ADP was like 24.
And didn't I pick him in the 30s?
You picked him in 39. 15 plus.
Yeah, I know.
Minus, I did not know. I thought 15, his ADP was like 40.
Was it? I don't think so. Well, maybe it was. Maybe that was just a bad pick. Obviously, it's a bad pick on my part, but I was in a tough situation. So, now let's get on to this next injury. Charvarius Ward, in the game last night, the Chiefs versus Texans game, he suffered a broken hand. Now, this is looking like it's going to cause a surgery, but it's probably not going to keep him out for the next game. But this might be good news for the Chargers, because the Chiefs quarterbacks, they're good, don't get me wrong, but they're not great. And especially with losing Charvarius Ward, or at least having him slightly injured, getting back from that broken hand, I'd say you might have a good day from Mike Williams. He's a guy that might do a little bit better. Also, Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen. Both of them, I think, are going to have a lot of a better time. All right, so now that we're done with the injuries, let's get on to our breakouts of the week. So, I'm going to start with my quarterback. My quarterback breakout of the week, Trubisky. He's going up against this Lions defense, which they lost Darius Slay. They replaced him with Okudah, but it's Okudah's first game. He might do good, he might not. Having no fans there is going to definitely help Okudah. But I guess this is something we'll see. And the rest of the Lions defense is not very good in my eyes. So this is why I project, I think Trubisky is going to be a sneaky breakout pick for this week 1. Who do you think is going to be the breakout QB?
So I got Teddy Bridgewater. He's going against the Las Vegas defense. It's weird saying Las Vegas.
I know.
But yeah, he has Henry Ruggs, Hunter Renfrow, Bryan Edwards, and he even has like Josh Jacobs to throw to now if Josh Jacobs gets better in the receiving game. But yeah,
So you said Teddy Bridgewater.
Yes, I did. Teddy Bridgewater. You
seem to be making it sound like you were saying Derek Carr.
I am stupid.
Did you mean to say Derek Carr?
I meant to say Teddy Bridgewater.
You meant to say Teddy Bridgewater, but you're talking about the Raiders players.
Yeah, that's why I felt so confused. I was like, that doesn't seem right. He has DJ Moore and McCaffrey to throw to. I was like, they don't seem that good. But yeah, DJ Moore, McCaffrey, Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson now. Yeah, he's going to have a lot of weapons to throw to.
But what about that offensive line, though?
Offensive line is a bit of a struggle. They do lose some pieces, yes. But I feel like the Raiders' defense is not that good.
See, personally, I like the Raiders' defense a little bit more than most people because I like Damon Arnett. Damon Arnett is a pretty nice addition.
Yeah.
Add him to the guys that they had last season.
But you never know what Damon Arnett does.
Might
And
do
they
okay.
released Prince, dude. So
Prince Amukamara?
yeah, that person. So yeah.
All right, so now let's go on to our wide receivers of the week. I'll share my wide receiver breakout of the week, Hunter Renfrow versus the Jets. Hunter Renfrow, wait a minute. I meant to say, he's not facing the Jets, is he?
No, Hunter Renfro's facing Panthers.
That's what I meant to say. He's going up against the Panthers.
Good job.
Sorry, I've got my breakouts listed right here with their matchups just to give myself a reminder. So, Hunter Renfrow is going up against the Panthers. Obviously, the Panthers lost a lot, especially Kuechly. Luke Kuechly was the retirement of the year. Nobody expected it. He was like the Andrew Luck of last year. I mean, he could have won Defensive Player of the Year this year in my eyes.
Maybe.
He probably would have been my pick, but he retired. So this Panthers team that lost Cam Newton, that lost Curtis Samuel, and it lost Luke Kuechly, I mean, they might be a little bit down in this week one, and in doing so, I think Hunter Renfrow is going to have that sneaky bit of a good week. And for my next pick, I have Paris Campbell of the Colts versus the Jaguars. Now, Paris Campbell, I don't think he's going to do great the entire season because I think Michael Pittman will reach past him by like week 3 at least. Now, that being said, Michael Pittman is not going to get as many snaps week 1. But Paris Campbell will. And going up against that Jags defense that lost guys like Yannick Ngakoue and has just been melting down over the past few seasons since their AFC Championship run, it's a great time to play a guy like Paris Campbell. I think he's the number 2 wide receiver on that team. He's fully healthy for like the first time in his career. And I think that having Phillip Rivers throwing to him is going to be nice because Phillip Rivers, I don't think, is going to be great, but I think he's still going to take those chances like he did last year, throwing 20 interceptions. Your picks.
Okay, so I got Calvin Ridley as a breakout. He's playing against the Seahawks. They don't have that great cornerbacks. They have Jamal Adams now. But he's probably going to be more focused on Julio, who will line up opposite of him. But yeah, the Falcons have the most amount of vacated targets with 258, but with the loss of Austin Hooper, Devontae Freeman, and that one person.
That one person, nice.
That the Patriots released. But Mohamed Sanu.
Mohamed Sanu. They traded him. That was last year.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, they lost all of those players. They have a ton of vacated targets, and Calvin Ridley's going to go off.
I feel like you're taking out of account Jamal Adams, the trade that shocked the world.
I said that.
You think that Jamal Adams is going to have to double team?
Well, they're gonna have to double team Julio.
Even with the guy as good as Jamal?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, how about your next wide receiver?
I got Jalen Reagor. He's going against Washington, and now with Kendall Fuller out, I feel like he's going to go off if he's healthy. And I'm pretty sure he's healthy. So, yeah.
Interesting pick. You don't think the injury that said he might sit out until week 4 is going to affect him at all?
So.
You don't think it's going to affect him, though?
It might affect him a little bit, but
you still think? Okay.
I don't think.
All right, and now on to our breakout
receiver.
You have one more?
Yeah, I got one more.
Ooh, okay.
I don't have a second running back though, but I got Bryan Edwards on the Raiders this time. They have a nice offensive line. They're gonna have time to throw the ball. Derek Carr is, and they're going against the Panthers secondary. So
this is basically the same pick that I did, except I think it's going to go to Renfrow because Renfrow has had a season with Derek Carr, I think, and him having that season with Derek Carr And there has been no preseason games. So really, Derek Carr is only going to want to throw to the guys that he can trust. And he can trust running around.
He said he trusted Edwards.
He might trust Edwards. That being said, he's still a rookie. He's probably going to try and avoid him in my edge. He thinks that he's going to get the other receptions. That is something that we'll also have to wait and see on Sunday.
Oh, yep.
All right, so now let's get on to the running backs. My running back, number one, and my favorite running back this week, I mentioned him earlier, James Robinson, going up against the Colts. Personally, I don't think the Colts are going to do great this year. Many people love the Phillip Rivers edition. I don't think the Phillip Rivers edition is going to be great for them because, like I said, I don't think he's going to take into account how much he risked last season, and he's going to throw a lot more interceptions. His mobility is low, and yes,
a better offensive line than the Chargers did.
Mm-hmm. But that being said, their defense is projectively pretty good. James Robinson is owned by like 13% of teams. Him being the lead back in the Jaguars, he's probably going to get, I'd say 13 carries, 10 to 13 carries around there. And that is going to get him good enough. He was a pretty good player in college. And third round pick, you never know. You might get something crazy, you might get something terrible. So I think that James Robinson is going to have this breakout week one, especially for only being 13% owned. He might be a little bit higher since I last checked, but that is my running back breakout. And then that was one of my running back breakouts. Your one running back breakout?
I got Zach Moss on the Bills. They're playing against the Jets. We might be concerned about Devin Singletary, but Zach Moss has showed a lot of good in the receiving area compared to Devin Singletary. Also, Singletary has been struggling with fumbles, so that will probably take into account some more playing time for Zach Moss.
And Zach Moss has been one of the highest risers this offseason, probably besides anyone other than Antonio Gibson, who is one of my favorite players this year. A sneaky pick to finish top 5 in Rookie of the Year voting. All right. And so my next pick for running back is Cam Akers versus the Cowgirls. Because I don't feel like saying their name. Anyway, Cam Akers, you didn't really see him doing much in the practices. If you watched these episodes recently of Hard Knocks, right? That's what it is. Cam Akers, they only showed the fumble of him. Not a great showing for him. They didn't show him utilized. But then again, you see Malcolm Brown. Do you really trust Malcolm Brown to do great? I don't, personally. I don't think he's going to do great. He might start off the game getting a bunch of carries. He's not going to do well in those carries. Not against the Cowgirls, all right? Now, Cam Akers is a stellar rookie. I have him winning Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, because I didn't want to go with Joe Burrow. That's the only reason. But I do think Cam Akers will do great this year in that Rams offense. I don't like Darrell Henderson. I don't think he's going to do great. Obviously, I don't like Malcolm Brown. Cam Akers is very similar, in my eyes, to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now, he might not be utilized the same.
He doesn't have... And Cam has a ton more competition, though.
Yeah, he does have a little bit more competition. That is where I'm interested in. But I think that week one against the Cowgirls, he's not going to start off the game playing in, but you got to watch for that second half. That second half is where he is going to go off. He is going to go off in that second half because this game is going to be close. Rams versus Cowgirls, it's going to be a close one. All right, and now on to our last breakouts of the week. Tight end. I'm going to go with mine is Greg Olsen versus the Falcons. Now, the Seahawks, they have DK Metcalf. They also have Tyler Lockett. I don't think Josh Gordon is playing this week, but they have those two guys. Those two guys versus the Falcons defense, they're going to be the main focus. I think Greg Olsen, with these nice passes from Russell Wilson is he's not gonna be slinging the ball too far because Falcons are going to be working on getting those 2 wide receivers. Olsen is going to be here. Olsen is going to be that breakout of the week for tight end position for me versus the Falcons.
What about Will Disley? Is he?
Will Disley, I think they had stuff saying that he's
injured.
not. He's not playing.
Okay.
So Olsen, obvious tight end in Seattle. I think he's going to have a great week.
Okay. I got Jack Doyle
Ooh.
as my breakout tight end. He's playing against the Jaguars. Not good defense,
As we've mentioned like 3 times.
yeah. He has Phillip Rivers there to throw to him. I think he's going to be a serious breakout this season, and yeah.
Okay, I see where you are, but I don't think they're going to throw to the tight end this game. I think they're going wide receivers.
He had Hunter Henry last year, and he got good volume. So
he was there. All right, let's go on to our disappointment players of the week. At QB, I have Tom Brady. Look, I don't like Tom Brady at all. I do not think he's a great player right now. I think he had a great career. Don't get me wrong. I think he was very good. If you saw him at all last season, you would see what I saw. And that's not the Tom Brady we knew. Mm-hmm. That's not the Tom Brady that people are expecting. Now, granted, this offense that he's playing in with Bruce Arians, with Chris Godwin, with Mike Evans, with O.J. Howard, with Rob Gronkowski, with all of these options, I don't think it's possible for Tom Brady to do bad this season. I don't think he's going to be great. But this week, he's playing the Saints. Everyone expects him to go out and show up and beat the Saints. I don't think they're going to show up. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not going to show up versus the Saints.
Maybe.
Especially if Mike Evans is out. Do not trust Brady. I'm saying do not trust Brady at all this season. But I'm not saying he's a bad pick if you're going with somebody else like, I don't know. If you're going with Sam Darnold, play Tom Brady over him. I mean, that's obvious. But, yeah, I do not start Brady this week. He's going up against the Saints, one of the best defenses in the league last year. And I say one of the sneaky DSTs that you should have on your team this year.
Mm-hmm. I got Danny Dimes. I mean, he's not one of the top, but, if you're thinking about starting him, you should not. He's playing against San Francisco. Wait, no, he's not. That's the Cardinals. He's playing against the, what's it called?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
The Steelers, who have probably the best defense this year. And I won't be surprised if the Steelers are first. He has a terrible first 5 weeks. So maybe after week 5, you might want to look for trading him for him.
Honestly, he might be on the free agency or waiver wire for you by week 5.
Yeah.
Because of how bad we think he's going to do. But after that, you never know. He might do great.
I feel like he will.
He might show worth pick 6 after that.
Maybe.
All right, let's go on to our wide receiver disappointment. My disappointment wide receiver is Julian Edelman. He's going up against the Dolphins. I think Byron Jones is going to be able to go up against him, and he's going to lock him down. And, I mean, you look at Cam Newton. Cam Newton is a smart quarterback. He was injured last year. I think he's going to come back. He's going to try and get those faster players like N'Keal Harry down the field. He's going to try and make those bigger plays to show off to the fans at home that Cam Newton is a good quarterback, and he's going to try and show that to the New England Patriots fans. Because they're expecting big things coming up after Tom Brady, one of the best quarterbacks in history. So, who is your wide receiver at this point?
I got Amari Cooper. He's playing against the Rams with Jalen Ramsey, who just got a new deal also. And last year when they played against the Rams, he only got 1 reception for 17 yards, which was not that good. He's one of the most inconsistent players. He was one of the most last year, and you just don't think he's gonna do that well.
Especially with all those receivers. I mean, that's
Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb.
Honestly, I think Amari Cooper will end up being the number 2 wide receiver at the end of the year. Maybe even wide receiver 3.
Maybe.
I think Michael Gallup will pass him. CeeDee Lamb will be close competition with him. If you picked up Amari Cooper early, similar to Leonard Fournette, he is not going to pan out well for you this season.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you have good backup wide receivers. All right, and now to our disappointing running back players. I had to go Leonard Fournette. They said that they're going to try and put him in the game plan. I mean, can you really believe this? I mean, it's week 1. Yeah, he's in a PPR league, he'd be much better because I think he's basically just going to be a passing specialist.
Rojo there. Donald Jones.
Mainly because of Rojo. I think Rojo's a good passing specialist. Yes.
He's better than Leonard Fournette.
But still, this is the Tom Brady who's going to throw checkdown passes to Chris Godwin all game. So, Fournette against the Saints. Saints defense, crazy good. Fournette, one of, 4 players in that running back core. Keyshawn Vaughn, LaShawn McCoy, Rojo. Yeah. Don't trust him the entire season. He's my disappointment player of the week.
Okay, I got Kenyon Drake. He's playing against San Francisco. He's the one playing against. Yeah. He was seen also with a injured foot brace or leg brace or whatever it's called. So that might hold him back a little bit. They might limit his snaps and especially they're playing against San Francisco and probably not be down by a lot, but they might be down by a lot and they would have to throw the ball a lot more. So, yeah.
Okay. And now on to our final disappointment players, the tight end. This one was super tough for me. I like most tight ends right now. I think most of them are going to do at least okay week 1. So I'm just going with a guy that I think is slightly overhyped. Now, he does not think that. I can tell you that. I think he's slightly overhyped, and I don't think he's going to live up to that hype. And that's just I think he's going to be okay this week, but I don't think he's going to live up to the hype. That's Mark Andrews of the Ravens versus the Browns. Yes, he's one of the better pass catchers on that Ravens offense. But they're going up against the Browns, who are trying to contend this year. They are going to try and start off this season. They're going to try and win, badly. They need a win. I get that it's against the Ravens, and if they lose, the fans will still be okay. But if they get this win, that'll be huge for their season. And so this Browns team is going to be planning everything to stop them. I think Mark Andrews is that big-name player that they're going to try and stop. They're also going to try and stop the run from Lamar Jackson. Those are the 2 players that they're going to focus on. And by doing that, Hollywood Brown is going to have an amazing game.
Yeah.
Hollywood Brown. I think Willie Snead might have a sneaky game too. And then Mark Ingram, I think possibly could also have a great game versus this Browns team. Then again, that's saying that the Ravens win this, which is expected. I think it will happen, but you could see an upset.
You never know. Here's why I don't like that. Okay, I saw the stat. He played on 457 snaps. Travis Kelce played double that amount of snaps. 990, I think. Something like that. And even George Kittle only played on 800 snaps. Now with Hayden Hurst gone, Mark Andrews is going to have a lot more volume. Well, a lot more snaps, which will translate over to points. That's why I don't think that will happen.
I'm not saying he's going to be bad, but I don't like the matchup versus the Browns. Yes, he might get more volume this year, but he had some other crazy efficiency stats that there are no way is going to hold up this year.
Yeah.
And we can expect him to be good. I think anybody would be stupid to say that he's not going to be good.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's going to be the amazing, awesome, super best player on the team, the second best player on the team, third best player on the team, whatever you want to say. I don't think he's going to be that.
Yeah. Okay, my disappointment tight end. I got Mike Gesicki. A lot of people have him high. Well, I think he's still going to do good this season, but not this week. He's playing against the Patriots defense. Yes, they lost a lot of players, but they still have a good secondary and amazing safeties and amazing cornerbacks. And Mike Gesicki is going to have to go against that, and it's going to be pretty hard that week.
That was one of my. I waited quite a while on tight ends in my 16-player league, and I was left with Gesicki as one of my picks and Tyler Eifert as my other. I actually really like Tyler Eifert. I think he's going to do great this season in that Jacksonville offense that's going to have to throw the ball basically the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's going to be good, and Gesicki is a guy that with Devontae Parker is obviously the best pass catcher.
Yep.
You might consider Preston Williams the second best.
I would
consider Gesicki the second best. That's something that you could leave up to you. But now let's get on to our weekly matchups and predictions. So first off, Chicago versus Detroit. I've got Chicago winning.
It's gonna be close, I think, but I think I got Detroit winning this actually.
Okay, who do you think is going to be player of the game?
Matthew Stafford, probably.
If Detroit wins, I think it would be on Stafford. The Bears, I think they're going to win, and like I said, I think Trubisky is going to be that breakout of the week for the QB spot, and I think he would be my player of the game. All right, next game, Green Bay versus Minnesota. I have Minnesota winning this game.
I got Green Bay easily. Well, maybe not easily.
Sorry, Rogers.
Why Minnesota?
I have Minnesota because I think Green Bay run defense, if you watched it last year against the Niners,
it was terrible, but, you know.
They have not as much of a run-heavy offense, but they have a much better rusher and running back in Dalvin Cook, and he is going to get a lot of carries, and I think that's going to kill the Green Bay Packers, especially with the Green Bay Packers receiving corps not getting any help. And I'm a fan of the Green Bay Packers. We're fans of the Green Bay Packers, as you can tell, but I have to go with Minnesota.
I'm going with Green Bay. I feel like they're going to be able to contain Dalvin Cook a little bit. Dalvin Cook's going to go off, but I don't think he's going to go off enough to help them win. I don't think he's going to do that. Well, he's going to do well, but not insane.
Not the 200-plus yards, 3 touchdowns like Raheem Mostert. Okay. All right, and into our next game, we have the Seattle Seahawks versus Atlanta Falcons. I have the Seattle Seahawks winning this. I think the Falcons choke. I think they choke this season enough if we don't have an expanded playoffs, which I've heard that there are possibilities of, and I think the Falcons would make it then. But, even more expanded than what we already have, the 7 teams per conference. Falcons going to be a good team this year. I think they're going to lose to the Seattle Seahawks. That defense got better with the addition of Jamal Adams and Russell Wilson, with DK Metcalf getting better and Greg Olsen getting there. I think they're going to beat the Falcons.
Yeah. I have Seattle winning this. They're going to, what he said basically, yeah.
All right. Then Cleveland versus Baltimore. Can you really bet against Baltimore?
Yeah. I mean,
no, you
can't. You would have won if you betted on them to lose against Titans.
Yeah.
Probably could have won a lot of money.
You could have, but I mean, Baltimore versus Cleveland.
Yeah.
I'm going Baltimore.
Unless Baker goes off somehow. Yeah, I don't think.
I don't think it's gonna happen. All right, let's go on to the next one. Buffalo versus New York Jets. Is there any other choice than Buffalo here? That Jets team is just awful. Even with Le'Veon Bell, even if Le'Veon Bell turns it up this season, I mean, Jets. Okay, that Buffalo team I think is gonna win the division also. So.
Same.
All right, now Las Vegas Raiders versus the Carolina Panthers. I have Las Vegas. I think that the Carolina defense, that Luke Kuechly, they lost him, and that's going to be too much for them to overcome, at least in this first game against the Raiders. Las Vegas. And Las Vegas is going to win it. Derek Carr is going to get to throw to his guys that he wants to. Josh Jacobs might even have a great game because they're going to be up in the game, I think. And then they're going to start running the ball similar to how the Chiefs did last night.
I feel like it's going to be a high-scoring game with both the defenses not being insane. Well, that good. Las Vegas. I have Las Vegas winning. They're gonna go off against that terrible Carolina defense.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, and next game, Indianapolis Colts versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Indianapolis Colts are the obvious pick just because the Jaguars are going to get the #1 overall pick this year. They're going to get Trevor Lawrence.
So.
All right, next question. We have Miami versus the New England Patriots. I'm going with the New England Patriots. I think the Miami Dolphins going to be pretty good. They're going to be pretty good this year. Much better. Well, they're going to be much better than most people think they are. They've got Devontae Parker. They're getting Preston Williams back. They're getting Mike Gesicki. They're getting Tua eventually through the season. And their defense got better with Byron Scott, Xavier Howard. Those guys are going to stay there. And Kyle Van Noy. They bolstered their team a lot over the offseason. I don't think it's enough, even with this battered up New England opt-out team. It's still New England. And you can't really...
It's Bill Belichick.
Yeah. Bill Belichick is going to pull something out of his ear and going to be like, oh, here we go, here's a win.
So, yeah. I got New England also. Yeah.
All right.
Cam Newton's going to go off.
Yeah. Cam Newton is a very good pick for this week. All right. Next, Philadelphia versus the Washington football team. That... I mean... I'm not going to get into this. All right. I wish they would have come up with something other than the football team. I'll keep it at that, because that's a extremely boring name. But let's get into the Philadelphia Eagles. I chose the Eagles because I think Chase Young will have a great first game, especially against that Philadelphia battered up offensive line, and Brandon Brooks is out for the season, just for the game.
I'm pretty sure it's out for a season. He's definitely more than a game.
Yeah, definitely more than a game, but. Yeah, that loss is going to batter up the Philadelphia line, but then again, it's still Carson Wentz. They've still got Jalen Reagor possibly. I'm not sure about Alshon Jeffrey. They've got Deshaun Jeffrey, not Jackson. And they've got Zach Ertz, one of the best tight ends in the league. They've got also Dallas Goedert. You never know what he's gonna do. And then Miles Sanders, if he's playing this game, he is going to do good. I mean. No matter how good that Washington D line is, it's Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I also got Philly. They're gonna just destroy that Washington team.
All right, and now on to the next game: Los Angeles Chargers versus Cincinnati Bengals. I actually have the Cincinnati Bengals winning this after getting the #1 overall pick last year and choosing Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow versus that Los Angeles Chargers team. I think it's going to be a good debut for him. I think the Chargers, yes, they have good defensive pieces. I don't think they're going to be able to put it together, just like they weren't last season. And the Cincinnati receiving corps are amazing. That offensive line isn't the best, but then again, neither is the Chargers. So I'm going with Cincinnati in this game.
I got the Chargers. Their offensive line improved a lot over the off. They got Trey Turner. They got Ulaga. They got and now they have Tyrod Taylor, a veteran. He gets to throw to Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and Hunter Henry. So I think they're gonna win.
It's Tyrod Taylor versus Joe Burrow.
I know maybe Joe Burrow is better, but also their defense is a ton better with Joey Bosa, all those players.
All right,
and their secondary.
Let's go on to the next game. Probably the biggest game this week.
Yep.
Tampa Bay versus the New Orleans Saints. I've got the New Orleans Saints winning this. I told you I think Tom Brady is going to be bust QB of the week. And New Orleans Saints defense is going to come out. They're going to do great. And Drew Brees is older, but that doesn't mean that he's going to be bad. Especially adding Emmanuel Sanders, still having the best wide receiver in the league in Michael Thomas.
Second best.
Okay, fine. Second best, whatever. If you want to say Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Julio Jones, blah, 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 whatever.
Julio.
He's a great player, and you can't deny that, and that this Saints team is going to beat the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah, I got New Orleans also. Especially without Mike Evans. Yeah, New Orleans is gonna beat them.
All right, next game. Arizona versus San Francisco. Arizona made a bunch of key additions last year, and Kyler Murray is getting nothing but better. But it's San Francisco. They went to the Super Bowl last year. They didn't really lose anything. They traded DeForest Buckner, but they
got Javon.
They got Javon Kinlaw, and they also got Brandon Ayuk. I don't think he's going to play Week 1. Is he?
I think
isn't he injured? Or is it, no, it's Debo. Debo's going to sit out. Make sure not to start Debo Samuel.
Well, he's questionable.
But I'm saying it's a night game though, isn't it?
I think so.
Okay. Anyway, San Francisco's winning it.
So yeah, yeah. I also got San Fran.
All right.
Defense is just too good.
Yeah. All right, and now for Dallas versus the Rams. I actually have Dallas winning this. Even though I bashed them earlier, I think that Dallas is going to win it. They have Dak Prescott. They've got all of those options on the receiving cores. Blake Jarwin. They have a good defense. They have a good O-line. I mean...
Maybe not their corners, but safety.
They're good. They're a good team. Obviously, they're going to blow it in the playoffs again, but I have them winning against the Rams, Week 1.
I also have Dallas winning, so, yeah.
All right. Next game, Pittsburgh versus New York Giants. Not much to talk about. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win this. They have the best defense in the league.
If Saquon might carry them, maybe Danny.
Against the Steelers.
But, yeah, I got Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Pittsburgh going to win this game, even with an offense, even if Ben Roethlisberger doesn't do great. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to do it. All right, now, last game, the Monday Night Football, Tennessee versus Denver. I've got Denver winning this. I really like Denver on the season, even with the loss of Von Miller and potentially the loss of Cortland Sutton, or at least degrading of him because of the injury. I think that Drew Lock is going to show that he's more than just a 4-1 record. I think he's going to show that he's a
4-2
good
record.
I think he's going to show that he's a good QB, and he'll be able to make that chemistry with Jerry Jeudy start working out this season. KJ Hamler, I think he's going to play this week.
Probably.
And then they've got Noah Fant, they've got Melvin Gordon, they've got Philip Lindsay. O-line isn't bad, and their defense, even with the loss of Von Miller, is still going to be pretty good. So,
yeah, I got Tennessee winning this one, especially with the loss of Von Miller, Derrick Henry. They're just going to hand the ball off to Derrick Henry like all game. That's Ryan Tannehill's specialty, and Ryan Tannehill can, if they even throw the ball, they're going to throw it to A.J. Brown. He's going to do good. Denver, with the loss of Cortland Sutton, like he said, yeah, they don't have that good.
Derrick Henry is going to be a very good quarterback for that Tennessee Titans team with the loss of Jack Conklin. Anyway, let's go on to our next section, which is Q&A. Now, obviously, this is our first episode of the year. And with that, we don't have any questions to be answered right now. So we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to go with our season awards predictions.
We are.
Starting off with the MVP, I have Patrick Mahomes.
We both do.
I had made these rankings before last night, but last night, it doesn't really matter. I still have Mahomes being great. I have him being the MVP, leading the Chiefs to the playoffs at least. It's Mahomes. I'm going to go with the safe pick.
Yep, I also got Mahomes. There may be someone like that comes up from the shadows, like maybe Kyler Murray, but I think Mahomes is going to win it.
All right, now let's go on to Offensive Player of the Year. I also had Mahomes just because I think he's going to have a great season. I could have gone with so many other players, but I'm going with Mahomes.
Yeah, I got Saquon Barkley. He's going to get a ton of... I feel like he has a very good chance of getting a 1,000 season. Yeah.
All right. Let's get on to Depoy. I have Nick Bosa. He was a rookie last year. I think he's going to show up even better this year.
Yeah, I got Myles Garrett this year.
Ooh.
If he doesn't hit someone in the head again with the helmet. He was amazing last year in the games that he played. Yeah, I think he's going to just do amazing.
All right, and now on to the Rookie of the Year picks. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I've got the guy that I spoke about earlier with the Rams, Cam Akers. I think he is going to become the lead back in LA, and he is going to tear up the league as a rookie, getting handed the ball for that Rams team that might not be in the best spot, but I think Akers will help them a ton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got Joe Burrow. He's like the obvious pick, but I also think he's going to do amazing this year with Tyler Boyd, AJ Green healthy, John Ross maybe, and T. Higgins. So, yeah.
All right. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I have Chase Young. Obvious pick. I don't think you can go against that unless you were to choose Isaiah Simmons, which you might, but that's kind of weird. So I'm just going to stick with the nice and easy Chase Young pick on the Reds. Football team.
The football team. Yeah.
All right. Now on to Comeback Player of the Year. I'm going to go with the guy that has been out for, 19 months?
Don't know.
Alex Smith. He's been out a while. He had a terrible injury. We thought it might be career-ending. It turns out that it's not. He's been playing. If he plays more than 2 games, he's going to win the award. Just because of the journey he's had to go through.
Yeah, that's true.
Even if he doesn't do great, I don't think he will do great, but can you really go against that?
I got Cam Newton. He was injured most of last year and then got released by the Panthers. Now he's on New England under Bill Belichick's system. Got Julian Edelman, N'Keal Harry, and yeah, I think now he has a rushing ability. So yeah.
All right. Last one I have Coach of the Year. I'm going with Brian Flores. I told you earlier, I think the Dolphins are going to be good this year. And Brian Flores is going to be a key part to that. He's a great coach, brings a lot of energy, and he's going to be able to flare up this Dolphins team and turn it into a contender. Maybe not in the playoffs, but at least a playoff contender.
Mm-hmm. I got... Wait, never mind. Okay, yeah. I got Mike Tomlin, the Steelers head coach. He was able to bring the injury-riddled Steelers last year into almost playoffs, barely missed the playoffs. But they have Big Ben healthy, they have James Conner back healthy, and I think they're going to do really good this year.
All right, now let's go on to our Super Bowl champ and MVP. I'm going with Mahomes and the Chiefs. The Chiefs showed us last night that they were the same team that they were when they won the chip last year, if not better with Clyde Edwards.
Yeah.
Scary. And that is just something that I don't think you can compete against. And so I'm going with back-to-back Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Same. I got Mahomes and the Chiefs. Yep.
All right. And then our own award, Mr. Disappointment. This year I have Amari Cooper. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but that Cowboys team has a lot of receiving options, and he's just going to start falling through the receiving pecking order. And I don't think he's going to be the Amari Cooper that we think he's going to be. So I'm going with him as Mr. Disappointment.
I got Aaron Jones, actually, of the Packers. They have a ton of they have A.J. Dillon now. The coach, Matt LaFleur, has said that they're going to be using all of their running backs, and especially compared to what he did last year, he's not going to be able to keep up the same thing that he did last year. Especially, he's going to go down in touches, he's going to go down in touchdowns, he's going to go down in rushing yards, and, maybe not receiving, but yeah.
Just because a coach says something doesn't mean it's always
going
to come true.
But I'm just saying.
All right. Now, that is going to wrap up this first episode of Fantasy Brothers Podcast. Hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to leave any questions you want us to answer, any predictions that you want us to make, stuff like that for us to answer in our Q&A section next week. And next episode, hopefully come out Wednesday night. Tune in for that, and we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.